I'm Jason Grumet. I run the Bipartisan Policy Center, and really a delight to be able to end what I'm sure has been a rough week for everybody, since all weeks these weeks are pretty tough, with the conversation with two of our best friends, Congressmen Carbajal and Bacon. This is an extension of something that we've done called the American Congressional Exchange. This is our virtual Congressional Exchange. And I will tell you that if you're ever just feeling kind of down, spend a little time with these two members of Congress. We have consistently found it to really just be reminding us of what the country's supposed to be about, right? Folks who come from different places, different points of view, but just have an abiding respect for each other, willingness to take on tough issues.
The Bipartisan Policy Center, you guys do a great job, and I think you hit on a key part of building relationships, and so I appreciate that. Just this past week or two, Salud got on one of my bills that's a priority, and it's to help get money to our city governments, and I think in a very fiscally responsible way to do. And so I appreciate it. So he's the lead co-sponsor on that bill, and I recently just got on a letter with him that he's putting together. So we always go to each other first, and it's really, you guys help make that possible by building that relationship.
You and I will be voting for broadband expansion in one of the future infrastructure packages so that we both have better broadband capabilities in our communities. You know, there's a time and place to really focus on what we need to do on immigration issues or other issues. There's a time and place to debate that, but this is a humanitarian circumstance. And the approach that I've been taking is, let's just get caught up on taking care of everybody who's in need. Place to get back to all those other issues, and we will. But if we take a humanitarian approach, I think that will do our country and everyone better.
Nebraska is one of the toughest places for SNAP, where you can contact online to Walmart or Amazon, and you can use the SNAP program and have food delivered. We're one of the few test states that has that capability. So this is something we're going to test for the rest of the country and see how that goes.
We're going to talk about, we do a lot of deliveries. We're working with underserved communities. But one of the things that we really need to make sure happens is that flexibility is there to feed people whenever, whoever's hungry, whenever they're hungry, right? Hungry people are hungry people. And I will tell you that will make our job a lot easier if we don't have to ask the questions and say, are there certain restrictions in terms of who this food can go to? If we can just get the food and then we can move it out into the different areas, into the different locations, that would be very, very helpful if no one's worried about having to meet those restrictions. That'll make it a lot easier for us to do our job and feed those folks who are hungry.
Certainly the food bank accepts its role and responsibility as a hunger relief organization, and we obviously are not asking for SNAP to do everything that for us. But this is truly a public-private issue that needs to be solved publicly and privately. The government has its role, we have our role.
We deal a lot with the pantries that are downstream, and we have areas that have gaps where there's no food, but then we have areas where people have excess capacity within their pantry. And so what we're having to do is call the individual pantries to figure out where the excess food is so we can move it to the right place. If we could have some type of system in place where we can see, where everyone can update what their current status is, who needs food, who has excess capacity, and then we can coordinate that with the last mile people.
And one of the things that was concerning to me was if we were going to not open schools. And so we have a huge percentage of kids that rely on the school lunch program or the paid school lunch program. So there was concerns about how we're going to go about that. And I think it was a good thing that we did in CARES 2.0, the 2.0 bill. I think it's got a different name. And then a little bit in the 3.0 that provided the ability for states to move that money around so that if a family wasn't going to get the school lunch, they could move it into the SNAP program and adjust. They also gave a lot of flexibility to the superintendents to figure out how to get those lunches out there.
The reason we could provide those meals is because of the federal flexibility received with the waiver to feed and provide for students who are under 18. And many of our districts are waiting for that flexibility to continue into summer, because if we don't have it, then they wouldn't be able to continue it.
I think that this crisis has really magnified how much schools are a hub for community resources. It's not just about teaching and learning. It's about mental health. It's about supporting families. It's about feeding families. It's about putting kids and parents in touch with the resources they need. And food is obviously a big part of that.